So, yesterday I listened to the full episode, right?
Okay.
And I have verbatim what you said about Christianity.
Oh boy.
Okay, from the very first episode.
Okay.
Holy shit, we're fucked.
That is not what I said. This is the thing. All right, just don't believe anything else he says for the rest of the time.
If Christians don't stop being dumbasses and get out there and convert some more people, we're finished. Don't people know they will burn in hell forever? I'm telling you, man, if Trump doesn't get elected again, then we are going to hell in a handbasket. God, I love him so much. I want to live in his hair. All right. So you said that on our first episode.
No, I didn't. Not anything remotely close to that. Oh.
Okay.
So
Where do you think we are today?
Compared to that? I don't even know how I'm supposed to respond to any of this. Oh, Lord. Okay. All right. So. And these are the parts that sometimes get edited out too when I just can't quit laughing. Okay, so maybe Nate was paraphrasing in his own words.
No,
some of what I said.
What you said was,
I mean, okay.
You said in early 1900s, modernism happened, and you said that people weren't really going to church. And then you said in like 1950s to 2000, it was postmodern, and people kept not going to church. And then you said from 2000 to now, people really don't go to church. And Gen Z is the first generation to grow up in postmodernism, and they don't care.
Okay.
So where do you think we are now?
All right. So, okay. So all right. So what I was saying was that we've been on a decline, right? So actual practicing Christian has dropped like 20% since, or a little more so, since 2000. And practicing Christian being on a pretty minimal level, like going to church once or twice a month kind of deal, there's not like a high bar for this. Church attendance has, continued to plummet. And so it's, anyway. So yeah, if you look at all the metrics, whether it be from Pew Research or from Barna Group or whoever, all the research and all the data points show that Christianity just keeps declining in our country. And so I think one of the things I've said in the episodes, especially early on episodes, and where I still stand today, is the church has always tried to react to the culture in really inefficient ways. And so for example, postmodernism's whole deal is that truth is relative. Right. And so there's no objective truth. It's all like your truth is based on your experience is the gist of it. Okay. And so everything in one's worldview is really filtered through the lens of my own personal experience. And experience kind of trumps everything else. And so I think
you said that in the thing.
Yeah. And so where postmodernism, as it was rising in our culture, the church was like, oh, we're going to try to be relative to the culture. And the seeker-friendly church model started happening and all that. And so I think where it ended up going was taking us to a place of, oh, well, this generation doesn't really want to hear about truth, so we're just not going to just be real blunt with it. We're going to kind of try to make the truth be easier to accept, and almost like repackage it. And then I think it wasn't just the delivery method, but the message itself began to become watered down, relevant. And so instead of giving truth to a people that were actually needing truth because they were told truth's just whatever, they were going to church and finding there's not much difference here than what's out there in the world. Like they're still not drawing very clear lines on things like what's the difference? And so I think that's why from 2000 to 2020 there's just still this massive decline in practicing Christians and in the number of people who attend church and the number of individuals that even claim to be Christians, and all those numbers are down. And
okay, so we've talked about this a little bit off camera.
Okay,
but anyway, wait, what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we've talked about this a little bit. I don't know, fundamentalist, evangelical, charismatic, that group of people, isn't that going up?
No,
it's not. I thought that was going up.
The fundamental so fundamentalists know
what's going up.
Yeah. So the trend that's going up is still probably not the fundamentalist part, and not mainstream denominations.
Right.
You're charismatic, you're Pentecostal. That's still trending up.
Okay. And all the mainstream denominations are trending down.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Isn't that good though?
Yeah. And
don't you think that's good?
I don't think. No. Well, yes and no. Yes, it's good that like mainstream Protestant denominations are going down in the sense of, your United Methodist Church, your Presbyterian Church denominations, those kind of denominations, because they've become so watered down. I don't know if it's even true Christianity in a lot of those churches anymore.
Okay.
So I don't have an issue with that as much, but the problem is people just walking away from church completely. So we talked about this before too, like the rise of the nuns, quote unquote,
right?
The NONES, like it has reached I think it's like that number itself is massive now. It has passed the number of practicing Christians in our country, just the number of individuals that label themselves as just non-religious, not like don't care. And so I think that is problematic for me. Obviously you don't want to see people just walk away from the faith, and that's really what's happening, because you have a lot of individuals that are deconstructing their faith, and especially in the evangelical world, and they're either leaving the faith or going to some of these progressive churches. But there's so many people that are just leaving the faith completely. And so that breaks my heart.
But okay.
Yeah.
So would you rather them be at a church where they're not getting true Christianity, or being a nun?
Man, that's a good question. Probably, I mean, to be honest with you, probably being just non-religious.
So we're heading in the right direction.
As long as the church,
even though the church is not headed in the right direction,
and that's kind of the issue, I guess, a whole, for me. It's like if the church was waking up and realizing we have to again call people to follow Jesus and make disciples, and and not just give them watered down messages, and not just be so quote unquote seeker friendly that it's causing no transformative change in someone's life to look more like Christ. I think so I think the church needs to become the church again, if that in the truest form. Well, to be able to reach those that are non-religious. If
people are leaving not good church, to either become nothing or but which term are we using?
Like the nuns, you mean?
No.
Or like progressive?
If they're leaving progressive church or whatever this church is,
right,
to either become nuns or go to a
like an evangelical
church.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a good trend?
Yes, but I guess the problem is that even in evangelical, well, yes, if the evangelical churches were being as intentional as they should be to make disciples and to grow disciples.
Okay, so that's the only thing that anyone should be focused on right now in Christianity.
I don't think it's the only thing. I think it's a primary thing.
Because everyone's leaving nothing church.
Right.
To either be nothing or be evangelical.
Yeah. And I think that...
So there you go.
Yeah. And I think that, in the worldview we have today of critical theory, of looking everything through dimensions of power structures, in other words, they're wanting... The whole idea of critical theory is establishing objective truth again.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm getting at is I think there's a generation that's tired of the postmodernism relative, like whatever. I think there's people that actually do want to have truth. Like they won't point me toward objective truth, if you were.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I think they're finding it in critical theory. Or social justice is probably the more common term.
Mm.
They're finding it in social justice language of, you're oppressor, you're oppressed.
Mm.
Your identity is determined, by, this, interconnected ideologies of gender and sex and race. And so I think that what I'm getting at is they're wanting something, they're wanting something to be substantive and be truthful. So I think as a church, we have to give them that from a Christian perspective. This is our view of objective truth, but doing so in a way that's loving and that's kind, that's open to questions, like we were talking about. And so I do think
I'm loving and kind.
Yes, always.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on that. So I think that's I think that's part of. Where we are as a church is finding again who we're called to be, and be that to a generation or generations with, at this point you've got the millennials, Gen Z and Gen A, and so, or Gen Alpha. And so with those three generations, we have got to reach those generations again, through just being the church and calling people to follow Jesus and discipling them. So.
Yeah. Did that work? Did we reach them?
Did we reach them?
Mm-hmm.
We're working on it.
Skibbity.
Nope.
I'm trying so hard.
I know.
What's the other one?
You can't just say words.
Ohio. I feel so useless.
No. So useless.
Okay. I want to do one more thing. Are we done with that?
Yeah.
All right. We're screwed. Like you said last time.
And Trump's not the savior.
I didn't say that. You didn't say that.
Well, you alluded to it. You alluded to it. No, and I don't want to live in his hair.
Anyway, whatever. Maybe I heard you wrong. I was in the car listening to it, so I was paying attention to other things.
Oh boy.
Yeah.